Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to create a technical ranking system using intraday data. This will be an intraday ranking system, almost identical to the one I created and shared with you guys using daily data. And here we will be using 15-minute bars on all the Q's constituents. The reason why I'm choosing the 15-minute bars is because it does take some time to calculate all the ranks for about 100 stocks. For me, it takes about 2 to 3 minutes to rank all 100 constituents. So depending on your computer and the number of stocks you're choosing, just make sure it doesn't take longer to run and calculate the ranks than your bar size. So here are some of the packages we're going to require. I am going to source my functions to get 15-minute data using the Trader API. I'm going to load up all the Q's constituents and we're going to set the current date. Now for our first function, we have get text scores and we have 3 parameters. The first one should be a date or a timestamp so that it doesn't calculate the ranks past this particular bar. We're going to pass in the vector of tickers we're using and also the look back days. Since we're going to be using intraday data, I'm going to calculate ranks looking back 1, 2, and 3 days. So if we open up this function, we're going to start off by sourcing in our Trader API functions and using the as of date or timestamp, we're going to set our end time. And for the start time, we're going to use the end time and also our look back days to assign our start time. So now we have a start and end date. Now to save time, I have assigned an environment called E where we will store our bar data. And since I'm going to be calculating the ranks for the 1, 2, and 3 look back days, I don't have to request the data again for that particular bar. So it checks if we have our benchmark, which will be the SPY. And if it doesn't exist in our environment, we're going to go ahead and request it and store it into that environment called E as BM for benchmark. We're going to assign our range by using the start and end timestamps. When we were calculating ranks for daily data, I wanted to have a 52-week range, but since we're using intraday data, our 52-week range per se will just be 1 week. So that's going to get stored into range 52. Once we have our benchmark, our start and end times, we're going to step into our factors, which is just going to pass in all the tickers, and we're going to pass them into our factor function along with the end time, the look back range, our 52-week range or 1 week. The bar size will be set to 15 for 15 minutes, and we're also going to pass in our benchmark. Once we have all of our ranks, we're going to row bind all of our results. To create an evenly weighted ranking system, we're going to set our scale, which is just 10% since we have 10 different factors, and we're going to rank all of our factors for all the stocks and multiply them by the scale, which will return a text score. And here I'm just going to multiply it by 10 so that these numbers are easier to read. So ideally, we will have a text score between 0 and 10. And lastly, for preference, I'm just going to rank these from highest to lowest. And for the factor function, we have all of these parameters, which I went over in the previous function. And we have our 10 factors, which you can change in this function. So if we step into this function, again, we're going to source all of our Trader API functions. It'll create a printout of the time lapse similar to a progress bar in line 91, which will require the scales library. And in the following block, it's going to get data if we haven't found it in our environment, similar to our benchmark. So it's going to store it in environment E. And we're going to start off by calculating the daily returns for the particular stock we're passing in, the benchmark return as well, and then we begin calculating our factors. So here we have our beta, which will just be upside beta versus our benchmark. So here we're trying to figure out whether or not this particular stock rises more than our benchmark on positive days or on positive bars. We're going to calculate our Sharpe ratio, our dollar volume, the momentum, our 1 week range, our weekly accumulation distribution, the max drawdown in our range, the value at risk, which I later changed it to expected shortfall, the alpha, and the active premium. So once we have calculated this for that particular stock, it's going to go ahead and create a data frame with the symbol, the date, the price, and all of our factors. So it's going to run through all the symbols we have assigned and get you these factors. Once you have those 2 functions assigned, we need to set the sequence of dates or timestamps. So for instance, we're going to go from July 6th to July 19th by 1 day. And we're going to use those dates and create timestamps from 9:30 to 15:45 by 15 minutes. Since these timestamps do include weekends and holidays, we want to exclude those dates in line 162. And in line 163, we only want to keep timestamps between 9:30 and 15:45. And I have included this function, which will pass in the timestamp, which will format the date, the hours, minutes, and seconds so that it has a file name to save as. And here we just have a for loop where we pass in all of our dates. We need to create our environment to store our intraday data, and we're going to use the 1, 2, and 3 look back days to get all of our ranks. And once that's completed, we can save these as RDS files. So all the files will get saved in wherever path you specify, and they should look something like this. So we have the 1 day, the 2, and the 3 day. And for each we have the date, the hour, minute, and second. In our next video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to use this data for potential trades. And with that, guys, this concludes the video. I hope this was useful information. I'll leave a link down in the description area to my Patreon where you can find the script. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.